Hello, this is The Insight. I am Babla Jonathan. In this edition of the program, we're going to be focusing on the Back to School campaign launched by the coffin revolutionist Mancho BBC and Galim Felix from their prison cells in the Kondingi maximum security prison in the nation's political capital Yaoundé. The 2019-2020 academic year is not far from now, and the socio-political and security crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the country has continued deepening for close to 3 years today, and the situation remains unstable, and there are doubts that are being cast on the next academic year after 2 academic years severely affected by the socio-political crisis. And now the coffin revolutionists and other civil society and political leaders are on a campaign to see that students and pupils return to school come September 2019. We also talk about the deplorable and even deadly situation of IDPs, internally displaced persons, hundreds of thousands of them who have been kicked out of their homes by the Anglophone crisis, and they are seeking refuge in different parts of the country, while hundreds of thousands are also refugees in neighboring Nigeria. Stay with us and meet our guest in some few seconds. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Our guest in this edition of the program is NKENG Michael of Muyuka in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. It is one of the areas badly affected by the socio-political and security crisis in the Anglophone parts of the Republic of Cameroon, and he's been on the ground trying to bring some aid, some relief to hundreds of thousands of persons who have been displaced by the Anglophone crisis, notably persons from his area of command, that is Muyuka subdivision. NKENG Michael, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You've been to parts of the littoral and the southwest regions of the country visiting IDPs. You've been to Douala, you've been to Suza, Mbanga, Boyalimbe, and other parts of these 2 regions. Why did you undertake this mission?
Thank you, Mr. Journalist, for having me on your program today. The reason I decided to carry out this mission is because I am the representative of the people. I was elected by the people, and so I owe them a duty to see that the well-being is taken off. When I was sick, I traveled out of the country. I saw what was going on with the national events. I got some few complaints from my population about the treatment they were meted. Remember that Muyuka is, if you want to measure the barometer of this crisis, take Muyuka. And so, since Muyuka itself was not or was forgotten, because the aid that was sent to Boya, and so most of the people who are in Muyuka or its environs,
other people who are moved out,
they could not have access to it, which is of no fault to theirs. I and my councillors decided to step in and make our own contribution to our population. And so we agreed to subvent the government, to supplement government assistance. We have been to, we started in Douala, we launched it in Douala, we went to Suza, went to Kompina, went to Kumbi, went to Mbanga, also launched the second phase in Boya, and went to Limbe. And I think the population which I met, I almost shed tears for a very proud people who have been brought down to the ground.
And before we talk about the living conditions of the IDPs, I want to understand why Moyuka was forgotten.
The security situation in Moyuka, I don't know whether it permits or does not permit, but I think government is the father of the nation. No matter the security situation, I have told them Moyuka is the barometer of what is happening in the northwest and in the southwest. And so it was that challenge for government to take the food to the people by all means and make sure the people obtain their own share of those things given by the head of state to the population. That was not done.
And even those who are from the municipality and have been displaced to other parts of the country,
we don't have control. I don't have control over that. I don't know. The one that I met, you know, a hungry man will never tell you that he or she is not hungry. When I met them, they gave me their own stories. That was where I ended. But we had made a decision that at this time that we cannot carry out developmental projects in Moyuka because of the security situation. We should use that money to provide them food so that they could be living until when the situation comes back to normal. They will go back and start carrying out their daily activities.
How were the living conditions in which you met them?
Deplorable. I met one mother who told me what she has been going through her. She lost the husband. Met another sister, lost the son. Met others, they don't even have somewhere to sleep. I was shedding tears because I could not believe these proud people, whom I know very well, they never ask for anything from government other than the basic necessity. School for their children, hospital for their health, water to drink, electricity. They knew they had everything. They knew they were the green basket of the nation. They knew they were the type of people whom a nation can count on. But they have been brought down to beggars. They have nothing to, nowhere to go. They have nothing to do. One young man came up to me and said, Mr. Mayor, what am I doing in Douala? I don't have a place to go. You know what I told him? I said, hope, hope, hope. There is light in the horizon that will come to pass. I explained to him that even great nations like America, which is the seat of freedom, had to pass through this stage that we are passing now. And so we are very optimistic that what is happening now will produce a better Cameroon for tomorrow.
From statistics, the crisis has affected more women and children. Can we have some statistics as far as women and children?
Of course, just know that it's two-thirds.
And even young people, general statistics?
Yeah, I mean, what we went to distribute now, we are talking about 5,000 to 6,000. Okay? That is just provisional figures that we have for now. But I think the second phase that will entail in Moyuka itself, we are talking, no, Moyuka has a population of about 120, 130,000. So you can work out the maths for yourself. What we still have that we believe that are in Moyuka. We did not go to Yaoundé. We don't know whether we have IDPs in Yaoundé. But we believe that having finished with phase 1, which is Boya, Limbe, Douala, and right up to Mbanga, straight to Mbanga, phase 2 entails Moyuka itself. That is Bafia, Ekata, Muyenge, Mautu, Ekona, Mpondo, Yoke, Malende. And I also heard that a lot of them are in Penaboko. So when the time comes, we'll stretch our microphones to all about these places and we'll ask them where we could meet and we share the food with them.
We're talking here about people who had to abandon
everything.
Their houses, some of them,
their
brothers,
everything.
Their sisters, husbands, wives killed, and they abandoned just everything, like you said, and they are in places.
They have become beggars.
So how are they surviving? How are they managing to put food on the table?
It is the grace of God. And that's what I'm saying. If we are serious as a country, if they want to measure the barometer of what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest, they should come to Mayoka. And you know why? Because there are people who have been neglected.
Neglected? In what sense?
In all aspects. A population of 120, they don't have one representative. What do you expect? Who is their spokesman?
And then when we're talking about these IDPs, we're also looking at the close to 13 billion francs yearly humanitarian projects that the government put in place. But there are still many, like those you met in parts of the littoral region and the southwest region, who have not received anything, who are still really suffering to the point of death.
But again, that is Cameroon. Cameroon is Cameroon. Under normal circumstances, this activity couldn't have been carried without concerting the local collectivity actors who are the mayors of these places that has been hit. Again, it's a system where we said, okay, we have the money, let's do what we want to do. And those who could be attained is attained. Those who could not, hey, let them go to where they want to go. Is that how things are supposed to be done? I don't really know. But to be honest with you, what I saw today, what I saw in these places, you see people who are desperate. They are really desperate. But again, it is my responsibility as their mayor to ensure that they have food to be eaten now till when the situation is normalized, so that they can go back and carry out the activities. I don't want to 13 billion. That's what we were told. We were not part of that management team to see how effectively the food gets to where it's supposed to go. We are not part of it.
What did these people tell the mayor concerning the efforts to bring an end to this crisis, a return to normalcy?
I mean, we should not. I mean, we cannot sit every day and for 3 years today we are talking about what could bring normalcy in the country. Please, we all love this country. Let's be serious. We know what is the solution. When the Prime Minister went to the Northern and Southwest, he said dialogue. I just believe that there are some backdoor channels going on now for an effective dialogue to take place. Once that dialogue starts, you will see places being normalized. The first phase, we are talking about 250 bags of rice, about 100 boxes of soap, about 125 boxes of granite oil, about 120 bags of salt, about 120 boxes of Maggi, about 100 dozen of pads for women, sterile pads for women, and what else? I think, yeah, because we are talking about a sum of almost 15 million.
We're going to take a look at what the newspapers reported this week, and we'll be right back in some few minutes. The press review.
The Sun newspaper of Monday, July 8, 2019, announced Bia's back home after a turbulent Geneva visit. The same paper said 2 sisters were shot in Bamenda for answering "We are Anglophones." The Voice: Army execute 2 sisters. The Voice quotes one of them saying they beg soldiers not to shoot them. The Post: CDC workers demand 20 billion salary arrears to resume work. The Guardian Post: UN expresses concerns over well-being of Anglophone victims. The Horizon: Swiss-led government's mediation efforts picks spanner on the wheel. The advocate was back to school looms as CDC's crisis deepens. The info: kidnapping of SDF chairman Matumba Comforts Frundi hails him for his courage. Eden, change at the helm of Soweto, experience and dynamism takes root. In another edition, the Guardian Post said IAPOL endorses Mancho BBC's campaign for effective school resumption in the northwest and southwest regions. The Guardian Post says SDF MPs slam Parliament for continuously rejecting debates on Anglophone crises. The Post Weekender says government opens investigation on who attended Geneva Dialogue meeting. The Guardian Post: separatists reject anti-Bia protesters' request to join the Swiss-led talks. The paper, in another edition, reported that the moderator of the PCC breaks silence on the crisis rocking the PCC.
That was the press review, and we're still with our guests, NKENG Michael, who is meeting IDPs in parts of the littoral and the southwest regions of the country with the aim of bringing some relief to the internally displaced persons who are living in very precarious conditions. If you were to ask government to do something immediately for these IDPs, what would you say?
Again, as I told you from the beginning, these are people who are very proud. They don't want to be living out of the environment. If government is to do anything, it's to normalize the situation so that they go back to their various environment and start living a normal life. The rest of it, I don't know. I mean, what we are doing now, we are just giving them food. Is that what they need? They are not beggars.
That will sustain them for a while.
Of course. Of course, we are giving them food to sustain them while the situation is normalized. Now, going back to school, I don't know how, I don't know. It's a big, I don't know question. We can only do what we can do with the means available to us.
Right. Mancho BBC and Galim Felix, who are the coffin revolutionists, being detained in the nation's political capital Yaoundé, have launched a back-to-school campaign. They are calling on the belligerents, they are calling on both parties involved in the ongoing crisis in the northwest and southwest regions to create enabling conditions for children to return to school come September. What's your take on this?
Again, I want to really extend the wonderful job which these two gentlemen are doing despite the condition in which they find themselves. Now, they have said somebody needs to enable the conducive atmosphere for children to go back to school. There is no person who is happy with what's happening in the north and southwest. If that atmosphere could be created for those children to go back to school, I sitting here as the mayor, I will be the happiest person. Because as I said, this crisis, the barometer of it needs to be measured in Muyuka. If you go to places like Muyenge, you will never know whether anything existed there. Now, Muyenge had a population of about 28 to 30,000. So we need those people to be back there for the children to go to school.
Now the question is, how will they return?
That is the 1 million question. That's what I'm saying, that it is not enough to have this campaign for children to go back to school. All of us, that's what we want. But we need to create that atmosphere for these children to go back to school. And who needs to do that? Government. Government needs to create that atmosphere for children to go back to school. We, at the level of the municipalities, will give all assistance for those children to go back to school once that enabling environment is produced by government.
The former Supreme Court judge, Barrister Ayapol Abini, made his support to the initiative of Mancho BBC and Galim Felix public. He said it's a good initiative and there is no nobler cause than fighting or struggling for children to go back to school come September. But security and safety remain at stake in those two regions. And the question is, what should be done to ensure the security and safety of pupils, students, teachers, and even school administrators?
As I told you,
by government, as you indicated.
Government needs to create that environment. You see, what is lacking today is that degree of confidence amongst the population. Nobody has confidence in the order. Who has to instill that confidence? Government. Who has to ensure that the safety of the children is being guaranteed? Government. Who have to ensure that the safety of the population is being guaranteed? Government. And that safety is not with the barrel of the gun. That safety is for government to carry out, to look for a solution to this problem that will enable confidence building within the population. You know, once the population has that confidence that their lives will change, once everything goes back to normal, happily they will do everything to ensure that security reigns within the community.
And that confidence is actually where there's a problem, because a parent would imagine that a child or his children are going to school, and on the way they are caught in the crossfire, gun battles, separatists, the army, and so on. What will be the fate of those children? They may not return.
That is, you've answered the question, and that's why I'm saying that the two gentlemen, BBC and the other one, they have done a good job by advocating for school to resume. I myself, I am 100% advocating for school to resume, because an educated nation is what has to be in the 21st century. Without education, there is no nation. And so, keeping those children at home has been a very devastating blow to the education of Anglophones.
Generations.
The impact will be felt not today. Take, for example, South Sudan. If you see what is happening in South Sudan, you understand what might befall us one day. If you don't educate a nation, you don't build a nation. Because in all activities you do, you need educated people to carry out the task of nation building. And so, when you keep a group of people, we are talking almost 8 million in the dark, no school, something is serious, something is lacking, something needs to be done.
Well, the other
I am really surprised that it is taking 3 years and we are making as if nothing is happening. As a nation, as brothers and sisters, as those who love this country. Let me remind you one thing, Mr. Journalist. The love of a country is not by siphoning money from the coffers of the states. The love of the country is by doing what you have to do to keep up the image of the country. If you see people like Miller made Cameroon to be known around the world because of what he did for Cameroon. You see somebody like Eto'o has made Cameroon proud because of what he has done for Cameroon. And many other great minds. You cannot tell me that you love this country by doing what will put this country on their knees and you say you love the country. Let us all, Cameroon has a lot of doctors, Cameroon has lots of engineers and all sort of technocrats. Are you telling me that they cannot look for a solution of what is happening? You're kidding. We know the solution. We know it has to do with governance. We might stick to our positions, but at the end of the day, country first. Any reasonable sound person, no matter the struggle, country first. Is that what we have as in Cameroon? Does every Cameroonian ask themselves country first? I don't think so.
Lord Mayor, we're going to take some interviews right now.
Our clients were brought at about 1 o'clock to court, and we had been to court at 9 a.m. And it's becoming a routine for us to come to court, and then our clients are brought at late hours. That said, I would want to signal one important issue that has been plaguing lawyers at the level of that court: the insecurity of lawyers. We've done everything to oppose the authorities of the military tribunal to bail us out of insecurity. During the last session, the court was full with people that we don't know them, but we used our own intelligence and our own research to understand that before they came last time, before our clients came, the court was full with plainclothes security men. Some of them, we knew them in quarters. The worst of it happened yesterday when one gentleman who has been grinding the bones of ambassadors, those that have gone through said have been calling his name. I don't know whether the Secretary of State is aware that this guy was in court yesterday. The guy would not want lawyers to talk. He wouldn't even want lawyers to write. He went up to the level of inspecting pens of lawyers. It got to a level where lawyers became so angry, and one of them raised an alarm, and we had to call the attention of the lead counsel, Etat Bison. Etat Bison had to call, Etat Bison had bâtonnier. He had to call the attention of the court, and the judge promptly acted by bringing the guy right to the floor of the court. So when the guy appeared, he asked him, "Who are you?" We're in a public hearing, and when you come and you stand and you don't want lawyers to work, people are not at ease. So the guy introduced himself that he is a Bode, Ajudan Ebode from SED. And we gathered that this gentleman is one of the guys that has grind the bones of Anglophones. Those that have been arrested from the regions and brought here, the man is he is a machine. So we came out of court so disappointed. And one of the worst things that happened is that the judge did not play his role well, even though he won the guy. But like a good military judge, he had to side with him because he appeared to have talked to lawyers that lawyers force. He insinuated the issue of phones that are in court and said he was going to order for a search of the court hall to see those that are holding phones. That phones are not allowed in the court hall except those of lawyers, but he was going to order that phones should be searched and to see whether lawyers are filming or lawyers are recording. And that it has come to his notice that some lawyers come to court and they do record. But this is a blatant lie because we've never had that. We had 3 issues to discuss. Remember, we had filed a recusal against the judge that is currently holding this matter, which is one of the court processes that was easily done by dismissed by the Court of Appeal. And you know, once the Court of Appeal dismisses a recusal, you don't have grounds again for further appeals. So that one said. But before then, we had recused Colonel Mem, the person that heard the matter before the arrival of this judge, Messé John. We had recused his panel. We recused the panel of Mem, and the appeal court has never served us on any decision concerning that recusal. So when Colonel Mem was transferred to Buea, 2 of his vice presidents, or you call them assessors, are still sitting. So as a result of that, we decided to serve them again and to remind them that we've never gotten any decision from the Court of Appeal concerning their own recusal. Because as soon as MEM's panel was recused, they were not supposed to be sitting, even with the new judge. Apart from that, we raised the issue of appending appeal before the Supreme Court, because we had appealed against one funny ruling that came up, and the French people call it mansion. We are taken to the appeal court. When we took it to the appeal court dismissed it. We moved straight away to the Supreme Court, and it's pending before the Supreme Court. We've never gotten the ruling or the judgment of the Supreme Court on that. So as a result of that, we knew that once a matter is, and that is even tried law, that once a matter, an interlocutory appeal is pending before the Supreme Court, especially when it touches on issues of illegality of a matter, issues that have to obstruct to the procedure and the free flow of justice, that the court below must suspend. It must suspend hearing until the matter is heard at the Supreme Court. But with language or with play of words, we got that the law, the procedural code is read west of the Mongo differently and is read east of the Mongo differently, and that an interlocutory appeal of that nature does not stay proceeding. So as a result of that, the judge had to rule that it doesn't stay proceedings and that we should come back on the 23rd of July for him to continue with the matter, because during their last hearing, they have started admitting some police reports. So that is where we are.
This is the second training of officers from Military Academy Yaoundé. We started last year, and this second year there were many amelioration. There were 232. So we have trained them to recognize improvised explosive device, to destroy them, and therefore they have been trained to be advisor in headquarters.
We were taught on how to be officers against improvised explosive devices and directors of explosive layout. So that's what our internship of doing these 4 weeks was all about. Personally, I would say the internship was very enriching in the sense that we were being taught practically and theoretically. Presently, what I can do as an officer against improvised explosive device is, first of all, identifying the device. After being able to identify the device, I can sensibilize the public and train them on how to handle such devices. I also accompany those to disarm those devices in the field by teaching them on what to do. After being able to do all of that, I would be able to follow up, that is evaluating the menace and plan on how various or future menace can be carried out.
In its actual sense, they're supposed to be thrown or disposed of where there is no human life, not like the case of Bois de Singe, where it is in between. You have people living this way and people, and there's some houses just close to it. It is very, very, very dangerous. Why? Because there are all kinds of microorganisms, call them viruses, bacteria, fungi, parasites of all types, and molds that can be found in that refuse. 2, you have terrible toxic gases, things like ammonia, things like nitrogen oxide, things like various kinds of sulfites that could be found there, and they can pose a serious danger to the health of the people around there. There are future conditions that people will suffer. Things like, if you tell me that people have not done a survey, but if I hear that people from that area are suffering a lot from typhoid fever, I will not argue, because that's one of the things that could be exposed to them. Amongst the bacteria found in such refuse, you see things like salmonella, which is a causative agent for typhoid fever. You can have conditions like pneumonia in future because of what the people are inhaling, the kind of seaway gas that is coming out of that depot. People can come down with various brain dysfunction as a result of the toxic gas they're inhaling from that environment. So it is a dangerous thing.
You welcome back. NKENG Michael, you're saying that children should go back to school come September. Mancho BBC saying that children should go back to school. Galim Felix, children should go back to school. Agbobala, children should go back to school. And every other person is saying children should go back to school. But there is a question. You say that government has to create an enabling environment. Concretely, what has to be done? A ceasefire?
Of course, if it is a ceasefire, if that is what will enable a conducive environment, why not? If that is what will enable that environment for children to go back to school, why not do it for the sake of those children?
But when you look at the stance of the government at this point in time, the Prime Minister was in Bamenda, the Social Democratic Front, led by John Fundi and other officials of the party, including the Vice President of the Senate, Senator Keze Emilia and others, called for a bilateral ceasefire. And the Prime Minister said, no, we can't have a bilateral ceasefire. The army must continue to protect the people, the territorial integrity of the land. The pro-independence fighters, you have to drop their guns. When you look at all of this,
are we in war that the army is in towns?
Creating an
the armies were not made to be in towns. The army were made to fight for the integrity of Cameroon. The armies were made to fight the enemies of Cameroon, not Cameroonians. We have police people. We have gendarmes. They can be in town to maintain law and order, not the army. The army has a place. Our vibrant army have a place. They are in the camps or they are in the bush fighting enemies of Cameroon, not in town with Cameroonians. No.
And there's some people who think that, notably people who are close to government, close to the ruling CPD political party, who think that the pro-independence fighters are enemies of the nation.
This is not a matter of party. It's a matter of love for the country. I once passed in this program and I said, those so-called separatists are Cameroonians. They are not our enemies. They are just Cameroonians who disagree with other Cameroonians. Does disagreement lead to death? I think, as I said, when the house is in trouble, there's a time when the father hits the hand on the table and says it has to stop. What is the issue? Everybody brings that complaint. And he said, okay, let us sit down and talk. We talk, and we might disagree. But at the end of the day, there must be a solution. Because all of us in this Cameroon, do we have a second country? No. This country is the only country we have. It is for our common interest to resolve our problems that we have, that will enable all of us to live in a country where all of us will love. Because don't think that only civil servants love Cameroon. Farmers, those NGOs, everybody loves Cameroon. Because this Cameroon is the fatherland. And the fatherland has done a lot. You are giving birth here. You grew up here. You were offered protection by the state. Most of us went to government schools. We went to the universities, sponsored by the state. Why should we not love our country? The only unfortunate thing is, those who sit up there, who were supposed, who we count on to come out with concrete solutions to the problems of Cameroon, either willingly or unwillingly don't want to come with them.
When you look at the present state of things in the northwest and in the southwest regions of the country, the back-to-school campaign, is it a feasible initiative in places like Kwakwa, in places like Messager, in places like Ngi?
I mean, that's why we are saying that all of us would are for going back to school. But what can government do to enable that conducive atmosphere, that security? One solution. What caused the problem initially? Let's resolve it. Let's sit on the table as children of the same country. Let's dialogue. And I assure you, once that dialogue is going on, the dialogue is not for 1 day, it's not for 2 days, it's not for 1 week. Everybody knows that the dialogue is going on. I'm going to be honest with you, you will see the atmosphere gradually returning to normal. As I said, if today government can declare ceasefire, take our vibrant military guys back to the barrack, keep the forces of law and order, gendarmes and police, the population itself will create that environment to go back to school.
But the Prime Minister thinks that that will be abandoning the population in the hands of civilians who are carrying guns.
Look, let us be, I have told you that it is time, 3 years is not 3 days, that we have to be honest to ourselves. Everybody has their opinion. But what I say,
that could lead
and I
to
say
chaos,
that once that dialogue is going on, naturally you will see the environment itself being taken care of, the so-called going back to school.
Now you've been talking about the government.
But you mentioned about separatists and crossfire between separatists and our military
forces,
and the children caught between. How do you resolve that? Now you tell me, how do you resolve that? If not by both sides seeing that no, it is time we give peace a chance and let our children go to school.
Exactly, you have been talking, now you've mentioned both sides, but you've been talking more about government. And I wanted to ask you, what about the civilians who are carrying guns? What are they expected to do?
That is why I'm saying that.
Because
by the way,
BBC
you know, I had been crying when this thing started, that the worst thing for a country is to let guns in the hands of civilians. But I think it has happened in other countries, and they have looked for solutions, and it has worked. Let's also copy what worked somewhere else in Cameroon. It will work. I've told you that the population that you see, those boys are not more than them. I'll give you an example. When students who went to write, they went to write the GC in Boyamuyoka, students, they went back. 30-something of them were adopted by those boys. You know what happened? It got to a point, the parents, our mothers, they undressed and went to that camp, and these children were released. They had no guns. Those boys had guns, but when those parents went there, they were released. So I am telling you that the security depends on the population. And the population, they are not naive. They know what is going on. I bet you, Mr. Journalist, let that dialogue start.
Can the population do anything to ensure an enabling environment for back to school?
They can.
The vigilante committees, for example, do you think about?
The vigilante committee is an overstatement. They don't have guns. The separatists have guns. The military has guns. The vigilante committee doesn't have guns. The solution is dialogue, and once it is instilled in the population that dialogue is going on, I bet you everything will revert to normal. And remember, one of the conditions which we presume that will bring the situation back to normal, if the government calls or withdraw the military from our streets to the camp as a backup, and there's issues anywhere, the population will look for a solution. I'm telling you.
But the civilians who are carrying guns, they are part of the population.
That's what I'm saying. The population will look for a solution. So you think that those guys who are carrying guns, they don't listen to the radio? You think that they don't watch television? They do. They're just normal Cameroonians. I mean, Mr. Babla, do you think any of them is happy of what has been going on? No. So it is high time all of us will sit on that table and will look for solutions for Cameroon problem. You are not going to bring the Frenchman, you are not going to bring the Englishman to come and resolve our issues. If we think we can be playing with Cameroon, we are playing with fire. Because there will be a time when to get even a solution to our problem will be almost be impossible. So why wait for that time? Let's give peace a chance. Okay. Let's sit on the table, let's dialogue, and we'll look for solutions to our problems. All inclusive. You don't dialogue with your friends, you dialogue with your enemies. Call our enemy, what is happening? Okay, we've heard. This is what we propose. During that negotiations, that citizens they will agree on, and it will be implemented. Remember, if the 1996 Constitution on decentralization was implemented, we couldn't have been where we are today. We are where we are because when the voices were sounding, an alarm, please, local collectivity should take care of their population. Nobody listening. Today, tomorrow, the next day, 1 year, 22 years, we find ourselves where we are.
When you say dialoguing with the enemies or the person who does not agree with you,
of course,
who are you referring to? Because the Prime Minister said
you call separatists, right?
We can talk about everything except secession, meaning that secessionists cannot be part of
no, let me tell you something. In dialogue, everybody wants to pull the extreme of what they want. But when you get to the negotiating table, especially with the third partner, they will fall in the middle. Trust me what I'm telling you today. The middle solution is there. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. So why are we beating around the bush?
What's that middle solution?
I don't think for now, even our partners, exterior partners, I don't think they want Cameroon to be disintegrated. They want a solution where people will govern themselves. They want solutions where my grandfather, my child, will not leave Buea to go to Yaoundé to resolve their issues. They want that you can be born in Buea, you grow in Buea, you stay in Buea, you educated in Buea, you work in Buea, and you retire in Buea. They want self-governance, whether through federation, whether through what means that you want to call. But I think decentralization has failed.
So we should go for what? Federation or confederation?
Why are we scared of this word of federation? All the greatest nation, the greatest country in the world are federated. Why does Cameroon think that we'll do something different?
And some are in confederation in the confederal system.
Confederation would be the best. But I don't know. During negotiation, they will agree. I mean, they have to agree. They cannot leave the negotiation table without agreeing. They will agree on whatever system best suits both parties.
And there has been negotiations, dialogue, even with...
There have been backdoor negotiations going on.
The dissolved civil society, Anglophone civil society body that was created, led by people like Bobala and so on.
It was, don't you say there was an error?
But it did not yield any fruit.
Don't you say there was an error?
All those negotiations
was there any
deadlock.
Was there any need to dissolve it? Don't you see where we are today? What was then? They had resolved all issues. The only issue that was left was the form of the state. And 5 o'clock, they said the consortium has been dissolved. Good. How many people have lost their life since it was dissolved? Why dissolving did not resolve the problem? No, we have two systems in Cameroon. With the Englishman, when they say Cameroon is we. But with the Frenchman, when they say Cameroon, they say the state. They don't know that the state is those who are in that state. And so, this idea of the form of the state is like it's a taboo. It will never be a taboo. Let's sit on the table. Let's agree on the form of the state. And let's implement it. Remember the reason Cameroon was federated, the reason they gave for a unity state was because of costs. But after 40-something years, if we have found out that cost is not the issue, why not revert?
However, the Prime Minister said in Bamenda that everything, that government is ready to discuss everything now.
Of course, except separation.
Even though he did not mention federalism openly, but it is
Mr. Babla, the best form of government is federal institutions. That is the best in the world. All the countries in the world develop, implement federation. Why should Cameroon not do it?
We're going to run up this program with the Parliament. The upper and the lower houses of Parliament have been unable to discuss the Anglophone crisis despite the pressure mounted by MPs and senators of the Social Democratic Front. What do you think about this position of the parliament, the people's representatives?
So what are they doing there if they cannot even discuss one of the burning issues in the country? Who do they think they are deceiving? Is that the way majority should treat minority? In every society, minority rights are being protected. If the National Assembly can't discuss on a burning issue like what is happening in the Northwest, in the Southwest, and in extreme North, then I don't know why they are there. 300 military guys have been killed. Almost 2,000 civilians have been killed. How many 100,000 have been displaced? And yet, they cannot sit down to discuss. What a shame.
Mayor Ken Michael, thanks so much for accepting to be your guest in this edition of The Insight.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for this edition.